Hodgson. I'm a director with the Brooklyn Creek Watershed Society. We're a small nonprofit society with a whole bunch of volunteers. We're just one of many partners that work with the Town of Comox on this particular project. Our operating budgets are about $1,000 a year. That's just to maintain our website and volunteer and direct insurance, so we're not a large organization by any means. You've seen this map before. Shout out to Ian Wu, who actually put it together. But it shows where Brooklyn Creek is, so the shaded area. So it gives you an idea of the watershed with the blue line showing you where the creek actually occurs. And we like to say that's sort of divided into thirds. So you have 1/3 that is in Comox, the lower third. The middle third is mostly in the regional district, but also in the town of Comox. And then the upper third is in the city of Courtney. And I just wanted to do a shout out that there are, in the audience today, there are staff from Courtney and also from the Comox Valley Regional District. So we've been happy recipients of all sorts of attention. We didn't ask for it, but in 2018, we received an award called Keeping It Living Award, which is an award that's presented by Comox Valley Project Watershed to local stewardship groups for the work that they've done. And we were, for the work that we do in terms of restoring and protecting the watersheds, as just one of the many nonprofit societies do in the Comox estuary. And then also, as you know, the Brooklyn Creek was featured as an ecological accounting protocol. So Brooklyn Creek supports many fish. So we have coho smolts, that's in the upper left, little sticklebacks on the right, and then also cutthroat trout that is on the lower down. Spawning in the stream are chum salmon and also coho salmon. And those of you that know life histories, you know that coho salmon spawn in the streams, and then their fry reside in the stream for 1 year before they out-migrate as smolts. So the habitat that's within the stream is important. So the Town of Comox undertook this channel enhancement project between 2005 and 2017 on the lower reaches of the Brooklyn Creek. It's contained in a gully, so it's a nice park area. And their goals were to decrease the risk of channel destabilization, increase productivity and survival of the coho and resident trout, and to improve trails and public safety qualities. And some of the things that Brooklyn Creek Watershed Society is able to access funding for enhancement work on the stream and riparian areas. And we coordinate with volunteers to work and to increase the public awareness of the value of Brooklyn Creek and to as a natural asset. So there's a couple of ways in which stream modification can occur. And so this is a straight section of the stream. It's in the upper section. And in this particular one, there's been some habitat work. There's gravel in the bottom, check. There's large woody debris along the stream banks, check. There's some riparian vegetation, check. So, that should be pretty good for fish. But as we know, is that there's different ways in which this can be done. So this is another stretch of Brooklyn Creek. It's also a straight stretch. It's in another area. But also it has gravel in the bottom, check. It has large woody debris on the stream banks, check. And it has riparian vegetation. But it also has, some meanders in the stream. It also has some benches to create pools and ripples to allow for aeration of the stream. So a little bit different. So there are ways in which to make the stream less of an eyesore and more of an asset. One of the things that Brooklyn Creek is able to do is we're able to do a lot of fundraising. And so over the years, this is the amounts that we were able to raise. As I said, we're a very small organization. And the funding range amounts from about $1,000 to $80,000. And then Town of Comox would contribute, on average, $30,000 to $50,000 a year. And also, we had the tremendous cooperation of the park staff to do the work. In addition to that, we had many local businesses who would provide in-kind contributions, maybe double our order of which we purchased, so that we were able to do the works that we wanted to do. This particular illustration just shows a gravel slinger delivering the gravel into the stream so that we didn't have to haul it by wheelbarrow from the truck. So some of the things that we can do, as I said, is that we can do the fundraising. Another thing the volunteers can do is that they can recruit and engage volunteers. And so over the years, we've done a variety of different activities. We have a list of about 70 volunteers that'd like to come out. They're willing to come out per day. We don't want to spend, work them more than maybe 4 hours at a time. And, on a typical day in planting, you can have about 20 volunteers plant about 400 trees and shrubs. And they typically do this work after the major construction work has occurred in the late summer. Another activity that we do is gravel nourishment. Because the stream is in an urban watershed, there's little opportunity for natural gravel nourishment of the stream, and both trout and salmon require it for spawning. So we have added gravel at different times to assist that. And we get a lot of cooperation from some private landowners as well to gain access to the stream. There's also invasive species removal that volunteers can do. There's nothing, there's lots to choose from. There's English ivy, there's lamblia, there's giant hogweed, there's yellow iris. You get the idea. Another thing that we do with volunteers, and we're actually starting it in a couple of weeks, is we set up a smolt fence every spring and have it operational until about mid-June. And with that, this will be our 10th year this year where we record the smolts. Now, it isn't entirely accurate. We do try to, collect as many of the smolts as we can. We count them through. We've had as few as 200 and as many as almost 4,000 smolts exiting the stream. Some of the challenges that we have is that if there's a very large, storm event, then the water will overflow the banks of the smolt fence, and so we know we're missing some of the fish. And then another thing that we can do as volunteers is that we can do public education and awareness. And so we put together this brochure. We pooled our $2,000 with two other nonprofit groups, two other stewardship groups. And then we had the kind assistance of the graphic the artist from Project Watershed. And we put together this brochure. And also we have the poster as well for another $2,000 we give on those. And what we do with these now is that we deliver these to the residents that border the stream so that they're aware. The whole point of this particular brochure is to encourage people to recognize that they live in a watershed, that things that go down the storm drain end up in the watershed, and that there are things that they could do to make everything better. But not everything is rosy, and so there are some challenges with Brooklyn Creek. And so we still have challenges with water flows, as typical for any urban stream. And also the fact that you have many of the storm drains will then direct their flow into the creek. And so in this illustration, the purple lines show you the storm drain markings, and then they all end up in the Brooklyn Creek watershed. And then also, there's other challenges in that a lot of the creek is actually on private lands, and so what private individuals do on their lands, what we're hoping is that we could this type of activity might be best approached through education and awareness, making people aware of the asset that they have in their own backyard. And there's also challenges in the headwaters region, as with most streams, is that you always want to make sure that there's water flow consistently. And so we don't oppose any type of development, but we just encourage that development be done in a way that it would still allow for water to reach the stream. And we do have some concerns. In this illustration on the right-hand side, it shows you a roadway, but underneath is a culvert that's about 330 meters long. And that was, is where Brooklyn Creek is. And that was installed in 2012. So it wasn't something that was done many, many years ago. It was just done fairly recently. And if you look at the valuation that Tim just mentioned earlier, so this is for water conveyance, but at 330 meters times $2,700 a meter, it maybe suggests a potential value there. So as I said, is that Brooklyn Creek is that we're a small society. We don't own any land, so we like to work cooperatively with people who do, who have access to it. And we're very fortunate to have a great relationship with the Town of Comox and to share a vision of protecting the stream as a natural asset. And we look forward to working with other local governments in the area to achieve similar goals. Okay, so then I'm just going to pass it over